Mic check.
Good. Good.
Perfect. We want to thank you all for coming out. We do have several activities still happening in the building, so if you see or hear some activity happening over by our Performing Arts Center, we have our marching band that is still participating and preparing for the school year, so we apologize in advance for that. We'll try to keep the noise and the activity to a minimum in that direction. But we just want to welcome you out, myself and our Executive Director of Safety and Prevention. We want to thank you for coming to engage with us concerning this conversation about safe schools. We appreciate your concern and the time you've taken out of your day to come talk about this. So without further ado, so we can stay on time here, I introduce our Executive Director of Safety and Prevention, Robert Worthington.
Thank you, Mr. Livingston. I just want to give a brief reminder. As you see the screen on the side, it's actually being loaded up and it'll be ready momentarily. For our Spanish speakers, this is going to be a presentation that we're showing here. You'll be able to follow on the screen on the side. We also have a translator that's here, so if you have a question that's going to be in Spanish, she'll be able to help you with that as well. Fine. Thank you. With no further ado, I'd like to bring up our superintendent. Oh, I'm sorry.
Hola, bienvenidos a nuestra reunión en esta noche. Solamente queríamos dejarles saber que tenemos servicios de interpretación en español. Si tienen alguna pregunta, por favor, hágamelo saber y yo se lo haré saber en español. Aquí vamos a presentar a nuestro superintendente, el Dr. Rodríguez.
Thank you, R.A. As you can see the agenda behind me, we are going to stay strict to the timeline. There will be time for the community to give some comment, ask some question, and please, let's open dialogue. We want to hear your feedback. We want to hear from you. Zach.
All right, thank you for that, Mr. Worthington. Again, just to reiterate, we have some communication over here on the screen for our bilingual speakers, and I want to take the opportunity now to introduce our Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Jesse Rodriguez.
Yeah, thank you, Principal Livington and Mr. Warnington, administration, for being here. Members of the Board of Education, also community members, parents, staff. The idea of safe schools is a topic of a lot of debate, opinions, a very serious topic for us in our district. We have spent a lot of time, a lot of hours, having conversations, looking for ideas. How do we best do, our work of protecting our children and staff? As a school district, on behalf of the Board of Education, under the leadership of Mr. Nordstrom, our president, Dr. Nieto, Kathleen Champagne, I saw her here, William King, board member, thank you for being here, Sean White, Christopher Benitez, and Patricia Stevens. This group of elected officials decided that it was important to put in policy that a safe and secure working and learning environment is one of our core values. So that was some exciting work with the board. So we did have conversations, and early on, before a lot of the crises that took place around the nation, our Board of Education, our administration, adopted a policy where we believe that a safe and secure learning and working environment is something that we must have in our school district. So that core value has evolved over time, and we have created, as an administration, plans for crisis. We have trained our administrators in NIMS so that we can have a common language. We have worked with our unions and our staff, and the work continues to happen. It's ongoing, and we continue to learn. But today, we want to open up, and we want to explain to you, we want to show you the things that we have in place. And I just want to make sure that you know that our school district for a long time have had things in place that many school districts don't have. But that doesn't mean that that that's enough. So we continue to learn, and we do have some ideas. We presented to the board some ideas and things that we want to do when our students come back. And today we intend to provide you with that information, and then we also intend to answer any questions that you may have. But again, I am proud of Zion Benton Township. I am proud of this Board of Education for taking this work seriously. It doesn't happen everywhere. From policy to decisions on the floor, we want to ensure that our district is safe from the board floor to the classroom. And with that, our administrators are equipped and trained so that they can respond to whatever crisis we may have. But most importantly, ensure that our students are safe. So again, thank you for coming out. It's about safe schools. We will talk about COVID-19 and some of our ideas as it relates to that. We will talk about safety in our buildings, both schools, and we look forward to hear your feedback. We look forward to incorporate your ideas in the plans before we open school with our teachers and staff in the next couple weeks. So with that, Mr. Jake Carlson.
Thank you, Dr. Rodriguez. Thank you all for coming out this evening. I want to talk just a little bit about COVID-19 and the things that we're still kind of trying to maneuver through. COVID-19 is not over, and we're still kind of prepping for and ready to deal with the COVID-19 things as we prepare for this school year. So, but things are different, right? But all along we've followed the guidance of the IDPH along with the Lake County Health Department, and we will continue to do that. But one of the things that's really changed is not following transmission rates, but a lot of it has to do with hospitalizations. Because as we're going through this pandemic and the different strains, there's just different ways in which we are looking at things and measuring them, and we'll continue to be actively doing that in this process. We are going to, as the school year kicks off here, we are going to allow for staff to voluntarily test weekly. And we wanted to do this because if we need to ramp up, we are set to do that as we move forward. If we need to move on to testing for more staff and students and things of that nature, we'll be ready to do that. But throughout this process, the biggest thing that we've learned is that communication is key, and we will continue to communicate any changes and updates in the way that we are doing things as it relates to COVID-19. And one of the things that has changed a little bit, at least through the process, is what we are doing when people test positive for COVID. This is the current guidelines. And it's basically when you test positive, you are supposed to stay home for days 1 through 5. The date of that positive test is day 0. And then day 6, assuming that your fever has gone down without medicine, and you're feeling a little bit better, if there's an improvement in your symptoms, you're allowed to come back to school, but you should be wearing a mask days 6 through 10. And I can say that the partnership that we've had with parents throughout this process has really been great. Parents have really been trying to help us through this process and making sure that their kids are doing the things that we're asking them to do. And so we just hope that that partnership will continue. And we ask for understanding if you disagree with a little bit of the things that we're doing as we're following this. But we have appreciated it throughout this whole pandemic. And then, of course, masks are still optional in the school. And we will be working to support students and staff who choose to wear masks and those who choose not to wear masks. And it seemed to go really well in the spring when we made that change. And I was really happy to report to the board that when we made that change, we didn't have any outbreaks. And so we were really excited about that. We definitely had some concerns. We were trying to watch things pretty carefully. So we're still under that mask optional protocol. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Worthington for a little more on safety.
Thank you, Mr. Carlson. So first, I'd like to go into a little bit about what the Department of, or the Office of Safety and Prevention is. As you can see, pictured to the left, Rod Henry, community member, longtime ZB. He's been with us about 15 years. He is in charge of the campus that is here, Zion Benton Township campus. Next is MacArthur White, and he is the lead person. He is the director over at New Tech High School. Like, all of our policies are the same. All the things we do are district-wide. But these two gentlemen will be the first responders, per se, in those particular buildings. Our secretary is Kathleen Halligan. Sometimes if you call the office and need a security question answered, she'll be your kind of go-to person. She'll navigate you through or to who you needed to get to directly, if it was me or one of the two gentlemen I just spoke of. Also, I want to kind of unpack a little bit kind of what we've done in this district for many years. Dr. Rodriguez spoke about things that we've had in the past. It's been tremendous. Yes, I'll be transparent. There's been issues, but issues have been resolved. We've done many, many, many things to make sure that your student, your child is safe. One of the things that we do is we employ 23 paraprofessionals. That's what we call them, but they're basically security officers that are on this campus and the New Tech campus. At the last town hall, there was some confusion. They didn't think we had enough. They thought we had 23 total for both District 6 and District 126. This is District 126, Zion Benton Township District. We have 23 ourselves. They're deployed throughout the building. They're the people that help out the most. They're the people that your student knows the most. They're go-to people. They're trained to develop relationships so that your son, your daughter feel comfortable going to someone if they see something. We also have Zion police walkthroughs. Like, we don't have an SRO officer here, but we have Zion police walkthroughs. He often comes here, the district officer often comes here and has lunch. He walks the hallways. We meet monthly. And there is a police presence, but it's not an overwhelming presence, and it shouldn't be. As I unpack all the layers that we have for the district, you're going to see exactly why we feel comfortable saying we're going to return your student like you gave them to us. And I think if we aren't transparent and if we don't communicate well with you to let you know what we have, there should be some concern. We're going to answer that concern tonight. So, obviously there's state-mandated emergency drills that we do. All schools have to do that. But here's what's important, guys. It's that threat assessment protocol. Threat assessment is a very important tool. It's important to law enforcement. It's important to schools now. Basically what that is figuring out who is doing what. And once you identify who that is, there's an entire protocol so that instead of allowing this person to go through and follow through with some of the things that they want to do, we can get the person help and cut it off as it begins, as it starts. I can tell you for years we've had threat assessment protocols, but I believe we've missed a very important piece. And as I look at what happens in the country, the very important piece is you. I mean, you are part of that threat assessment protocol. You may see stuff that no one else will see. We want to give you an avenue of where you can communicate with the school district, either one of the two gentlemen that I just described, a principal, whoever you feel comfortable with. You are the first line of threat assessment, and if we're going to get this fixed in the country, we have to use you as parents. You see your kids every day, all night, and it has to be a firm, two-way communication. That's the only way it's going to work. So, there's a mantra in this district, classroom fortress. What does that mean? Like, every glass you see on the side over here in these doors as you walk in, every one of those glass panes at the lower level is bulletproof. As you go into a classroom, the small window in that classroom, bulletproof. And I wish I had a laser pointer, but if you can see the window in that door with the shades, that glass is a bulletproof glass. We asked our teachers emphatically, make sure you lock your door. Why is that important? Think about Texas. A door lock could have resolved that situation. Think about Texas. So yes, door locks are extremely important, and that is a hot topic. You're gonna, our staff is gonna hear it Monday. It's going to be a requirement. It's very, very important. Safe area designation. If you look back in that classroom that's depicted, you see that maroon tile at the top? That was put up long before we got bulletproof glass, okay? And so because that was there, like we had the shades where you would pull the shade down, lock the door, and you would shelter in place. With bulletproof glass, and I don't recommend it, you could stand in front of that window and you will not be harmed. That door is locked, that window is bulletproof, you are good to go. Think about your students being able to learn in an environment where they don't have to worry about somebody shooting them. Think about that. How else could we make that happen? You have to build a fortress for your children. Trained certified teaching professionals, like Dr. Rodriguez said, not only our teaching professionals, but also our administrators. One of the biggest mistakes at Uvalde was there was no incident command. The school couldn't speak the language of the police. The police couldn't speak collectively to other departments. Incident command and that NIMS program gives everybody you see up here the ability to be at the command post and hold it down for our district. Fully trained, understand the language, and recognized by our stakeholders, police, fire, rescue. All of those people were at the meeting. All of them are NIMS trained. And honestly, I'd like, if we could, give everybody a round of applause, because that was a very big undertaking. It shows, it shows the commitment that this district has to making sure your child is safe. Another layer is phones in every classroom. And that's just an alert system. Something happens, a teacher's in there, they can call any phone, it's a landline, they can call, they can contact everybody. Importantly, here's the layers that are in progress right now. Electronic door locking systems, exterior doors, and I should have put that on there, exterior doors, which means when we, and we're going to do it this year, have metal detection for every student that comes in the building, we'll be able to lock down and only have 5 entrances open. Now, I know some of you are saying, well, if they're locked, how can we get out? Well, if there's a fire, you can get out. If it's not a fire, you go to those exits and you exit through the doors that are manned. That's the important. It's a magnetic locking system. It could be operated by any kind of technology you have. It's going to give us another layer to that classroom fortress. If you can think about it now, and remember that maroon tile, we have built this over the years. Right now, we're doing the exterior doors. We're going to build it up to where it's going to be the inside doors, where it's going to be one wing, the academic wing, or it's going to be athletics. We're going to build this up so you have total confidence that we're going to return your child to you the way you left him to us. So, the metal detection piece is huge. If you want to worry about the hurdle that is apparent, it's going to be the process. I can tell you that this is not in response to anything that's happened. Dr. Rodriguez, I want to say 2 years ago, we spoke in depth about where we were through risk assessment. And what risk assessment is, guys, I look at what's going on in our community. I look at the gun violence. We have a great relationship with the Zion Police Department, Winthrop Harbor Police Department, and we've got a real close connection to the Lake County Sheriffs, Mr. King. So with all of that, we have to do risk assessment to figure out where we are. Everything you see up here is custom to Zion Benton Township High School and the district. It's custom to us. It's what we need. So it only makes sense that when we need metal detection, we make that move. And we didn't turn like a sports car. We turned that ship, we turned like a ship, nice and slow, through dialogue with the superintendent, through dialogue with our stakeholders, police, and now with dialogue with you. It's important that we get your feedback. It's important that you digest what we're giving you tonight, and if you have a question later, we're going to make sure that you can get that question answered ASAP, because it's the confidence you have in us that's going to give your student the ability to learn at the highest level. At the highest level. That's that two-way communication part. Parents, so often, and I'm just going to be me for a minute, so often parents get upset. You know, think about how many times last year that there was a situation on Facebook and someone said they were going to do something, right? I'm sure we all remember those things, right? Everybody called their student out. And here I'm sitting in my office thinking, probably the safest place in Zion is Zion Benton High School and New Tech High School. Like if there was something that was going to go on, I'm coming here. And then our parents called them out, exposed them to whatever danger it could have been. Exposed. If that Facebook post was true, why would we allow our babies to walk out or walk home or do anything? We have to put those situations in context. Tonight is about getting your support, gaining your confidence that everything that we have as a district is going to make sure we return your babies like you gave them to us. So I talked a little bit about the metal detection. These are the entrances that we're going to use. Hopefully you can follow the map. One at the very top is that main entrance. We have 14 other doors. Those 14 doors will be locked magnetically. If your son, daughter has to go home, needs to leave, they're to leave through one of these 5 entrances or exits. There's going to be metal detection set at every single one of those doors. Students will file in, they'll go through the metal detection process, and they will go to class. Easy peasy. Buses have already been instructed that if there's a line outside the door, hold the students on the bus. And Jake said about COVID and how it's working. Well, our buses have been equipped with an air purification system. Correct, Dr. Wilkinson? Air purification. Think about it. They're sitting on that bus for more than 20, 30 minutes, or 10 minutes, or whatever it would be. At least that air is going to be purified. They don't have to worry about any kind of a situation with their health. I want to play a short video, and then after the video, we can get into some questions.
Hello students, my name is Mr. Livingston and I am the proud principal of Zion Benton Township High School.
And I'm Ms. Felsky, the proud principal of New Tech at Zion Benton East.
And together we are one district, two schools.
The purpose of this video is to highlight our District 126 entry procedures. These procedures are aligned to our district's safety and wellness plan, prioritizing safety and security.
On behalf of our Board of Education, our administration, and our superintendent, we take pride in ensuring that our students and staff are entering and navigating into the safest learning environments where student experiences thrive.
The entrance procedures to be used are as follows. When arriving at school, line up to enter through one of the 5 entrances, similar to last year. North flagpole entrance, door A, both bus circle doors, D and T, south door V, and pool entrance door W. Each entrance will have hand sanitizing stations. As a reminder, masks are optional this school year.
School personnel will expect you to have your ID upon entering the building. If you do not have your ID, there will be temp ID stations located for you in multiple areas.
When approaching the metal detector, empty all items out of your pockets. Unzip your bag and place it on the table. Proceed to walk through the metal detector with your hands free from your pockets and retrieve your bag on the other side. School restricted items include vape pens, weapons or look-alike weapons of any kind, tobacco, and other items mentioned in the student handbook under Code of Conduct, starting on pages 53. All restricted items will be confiscated by school personnel.
In the event the metal detector alarm goes off as you walk through, simply go to a location directed by the paraprofessional. They will use a handheld metal detector wand. Your feet must be shouldered width apart and arms extended out to your sides while this is being done. We will have male and female staff members to wand students at each entrance.
We want all of you to be ready to enter the building safely and as quickly as possible. Please be patient, as we will all be working together as one community to keep all of us safe.
We want all of you to be ready to enter the building safely and as quickly as possible.
Please follow the directions in this video, and please be patient as we will be working together as one community to keep everyone safe.
We look forward to seeing you on the first day of school. And remember,
We are all in this together as one district, two schools.
So what we'd like to do now, we want you to digest what we've given you, all right? There's some refreshments in the back. Why don't you adjourn for refreshments, come back, and then we'll start our question and answer period of the performance. 3 minutes, 3 minutes, yes. So thank you. We're going to get back started. If there's something I want to reiterate, and I think I said it at the beginning, like every protocol, every procedure, every layer that we have on this campus, it's also that way across town at New Tech. These are district initiatives. These are district trainings. The administrators over at New Tech are fully NIM certified. The management team members at New Tech are NIMS certified. So, questions? Yeah, and as you have them, if you can walk up to the mic, we'll be able to answer them as they come.
All right. So when it comes to the safety of the schools, what role is the social worker playing with that?
The social worker is a part of our threat assessment team. Social worker, that's social emotional. That's students that may have homicidal, suicidal ideologies. Those are our first layers of who gives us that information, and we take that information and we try to give our student the help that they need. So like the whole threat assessment piece isn't me, isn't just the people that are here. It's a broad branch, a big tree with pieces like social emotional help from our counseling staff, social workers, all the way down to paraprofessionals that might see a kid in the corner crying. You know, it all starts with that.
The importance of social workers and school counselors is something that we take very, very seriously. This past year, the Board of Education approved our recommendation to add additional social workers and counselors to address social emotional learning, because that is a safety piece. So the idea of prevention and the idea of investing in social emotional learning is something that in our district we have taken very seriously, and we have made investments in that part. I think we have over 8 social workers, over 10 counselors in our school district. And again, it's a strong focus on the idea of social emotional learning for all students.
Questions?
Or comments, feedback?
We got one.
Will this presentation and the video and everything, will this be available on the website, or will it be sent out to students or teachers or parents or anything? Is there a place that we can view this stuff after tonight?
Yes, the idea is to show the video tonight, and as soon as we're finished with this town hall meeting tonight or tomorrow morning, that video will be available to our students, and it will be disseminated out. One of the things that we value, is communication and being proactive. And the idea here tonight is that as soon as administration is comfortable and we talk to you, that video will be sent out to our students, community, and it will be available in the website. Good idea.
Sorry, back here, just to answer your question, this event is actually being live streamed, so we will be sending out an e-newsletter or some kind of news flash to all parents, families, and community members, and we will also be showing it on social media. So the link will be shared, and more than likely the presentation as well. Thank you for asking that question.
Anyone else?
And please know also that while safety is important, creating a positive environment for our students is more important. So that first day of school, we're welcoming our students with a red carpet. I mean, it was going to be a great welcome. We will be clapping. I mean, we have to make it engaging, fun for our students, while we understand, our situation and make safety a priority. But at the same time, social emotional learning, at the same time, welcoming our students, making sure that they enjoy high school, that is our main priority, while we maintain a safe and secure working and learning environment. So those things are also on the works.
How are you going to handle the transition from academic time to athletic time, that time period where students are going from classes to the locker room, a lot of people are leaving the building, potentially going in and out as they're going to their cars to get maybe athletic stuff. How are you going to handle that time period? Plus we have students coming back from tech campus that have to come back for athletics to ensure the safety of our students in that time period, probably from like 2:40 to like 3:10.
Yeah, that is a hectic time. School term hectic, not parent term hectic. Lots of people moving, going different places. Traditionally, we haven't had much problem. We use our deans, we use our assistant principal, we use me, and we just fill the halls with smiley faces to ensure students that somebody's watching, you need to go do what you need to do. And hopefully, if there is something brewing, we already knew about it, and we've remove the students that were having the issue. So it's a big piece. That's part of the 23 paraprofessionals that are in this building and the 4 or 5 over at the other campus.
Got a question in the back.
A question I think a lot of parents and students have is that is there any protocol that's changing or that's new to curb the amounts of fights that are happening?
That's a great question. I'm going to get up here because I don't want to sit down and talk. Yeah, so our student handbook outlines all of our discipline procedures. I appreciate you asking that question because what schools often do is pretend that our students post-pandemic are coming back with the same mental capacity to problem solve. And we did find last year, as every school did nationwide, that our students required a level of social-emotional support that was insurmountable. So to your question, are there any new policies? I would tell you that our policies that we had last year weren't the issues. I think that our students just came back with a bigger need than we really anticipated. Now, I will tell you we have increased our deans. We have an extra dean now. We did just speak about our addition in social work. And we have kind of a vetted plan on how to provide social emotional instruction to our advisory so we can prevent problems instead of responding to them. I think our metal detection and our locking door system will curb and present a level of security and high expectations for social emotional learning for students that we probably didn't come as strict or assertive with last year. Remember, coming back from the pandemic, we wanted to love our kids. We wanted to love on them, and we wanted to receive them back in their authentic selves because the pandemic affected some of our families very hard. And if any of you recall, second semester we transitioned a little bit, and things did get a lot better. This year, we're going to start a little bit more with having that high expectation, with having already experienced a year out of the pandemic, and we expect that it will be much better. Thank you for that question.
If someone has a question in Spanish, si alguien tiene una pregunta en español, please come forward. Si tienen una pregunta en español, pueden hacerla en español y se la contesto en español. I will answer the question back in Spanish. And Mr. Livington will help me out.
Un poquito.
So in watching the video and having just done quite a bit of travel recently, I see the student walks through a metal detector. I see the bag goes through on the side. And I know full well the intent is the bag will be examined carefully. But having been in airports with lots of people coming through, and there will be lots of students lined up to get into the building, with, as the seasons change, more and more stuff stuffed into their bags, how do we assure a good, thorough examination to catch the stuff in the bag that would have been caught by the metal detector for the person?
Thank you. We do that by bringing the bag through the metal detector. It wasn't depicted there, but that's what's going to actually happen. So good catch. But yes, the bags will go through. We just want to ensure that no metal is there. And again, metal is vape pen. Metal is knife. Metal is more than just gun. So yeah, thank you.
Will Mr. Leviton and his assistant Joaquin be in the hallway as like they were as the last semester?
Will we be in the hallways like we were last semester? No, I appreciate that, because that is another message that we tell all our staff. The more adults in the hallways, like I want to remind everyone, there's 21 to 2,200 students in our building. They outnumber our staff significantly. The most unstable times in our building is passing period. So we have a vetted interest to push kids along to get them to class, not only because that's the place they're going to learn, but those are the safest places in the building. If a crisis were to happen and somebody wanted to plan something, the best time to plan it is during passing period, when everybody's moving along. The way we do that is we empower our teachers to be in the hallways in their areas as much as possible, move students along. If you had a student that went to school here last year, they could tell you about me and my rolling cart. I spent a lot of times in the hallways, talking to students, moving them along and building relationships. So absolutely, we will definitely be in the hallways.
Thank you. And again, I'd like to personally thank you for coming out. But I'd also like you to share the message. Remember that shared responsibility? I mean, you got unpacked a lot of stuff that maybe some of you did not know. Share what it is we do. This does not need to be a secret. We need you to be our coalition of the willing, because that's the only way we're going to get to a good place. We have our regional superintendent here, Mike Carner. And he'd just like to give a few remarks before our superintendent.
Thank you. First of all, I just want to let you know I'm a ZB grad. I taught here, so I still live in the community, so obviously school safety is very important. This is a very important topic right now, not only in this county, but also the country, due to a lot of the issues that happened with Highland Park this past summer and Uvalde. Know that at the ROE, we are doing everything we can to provide the resources to our school districts. Mr. Worthington has gave a great presentation about a lot of the things that are in structures that are in place here, but some of the things he mentioned about with communication, see something, say something, do something, very important for all of us to work together. We had a national school security expert speak to the county on Tuesday, and what he's seen around the nation, everybody is experiencing, right? People are having mental health crises due to COVID. We have resources in the county that you, as families, should even tap into with 211 if you're experiencing any difficulties. They have the Safe Help app, the Text Me Help. That's where your students could actually text a crisis counselor and get immediate assistance 24/7. So I encourage you to use that if there's anything outside of school, because sometimes, as Mr. Worthington mentioned with Facebook, social media is a huge distractor, and those are what causes a lot of issues. So the more that we can be proactive and notify staff, talk with our kids. I have children that are going to go to Zion Benton High School. Then we can keep this community safe. They're doing as much as they can. We're helping out by providing more information PD with our county resources, with our sheriffs, our state's attorney, not for punitive punishment, but just that we have councils. We don't have to involve the court systems, things like that. There's things out there that we can actually do to actually help kids. So that's the main goal. So thank you for allowing me to talk, and best of luck for the beginning of the year.
Any other questions, comments, preguntas, comentarios? Yes, Chris?
Mr. Worthington, you mentioned that there were a number of people that were, when they saw stuff on Facebook, they pulled their kids out last year. Can you please just address instead maybe what parents should do, and who do they contact? How do they reach out to the school to make the school alert to what is on Facebook, or all the different social medias?
Yeah, thank you. Very, very good question. If there was an issue that was bigger than life last year, it was that. Anything that interrupts the educational process must be stopped. And that did 4 times, at least 4 times. So to your question, you can contact the principal of the building, whichever building it is. If it's New Tech, it's Bonnie Felsky. If it's here, it's Zach Livingston, and any administrator you feel comfortable with. The issue is making sure you get that information given. It was instrumental last year. I think one of the parents who saw the post was the reason we were able to catch the kid that did it. Kid went to Round Lake High School. Wasn't even a Zion Benton kid. So yeah, and there's going to be more to know about on the school webpage about different things parents can do and the contact process. So right now, any administrator specific to building principal, and then we'll decipher through.
And also, it would be fair to say that we do have a commitment in sending you information via text messaging, especially, or robocalls as soon as possible. So we have done that. If an emergency happens, the administration knows that they have 7 minutes to let me know. They know that I got 5 minutes to get the board involved. And after that, I'm releasing information. I mean, we're not taking forever. We're not taking hours. So, so we do have protocols already in place to communicate as soon as possible. And everything that can be shared, we will share. You know, so transparency is important. But I think communicating with the school is important, but also the administration and myself understand that we also have to communicate with you. It's a two-way communication because social media travels so fast, and sometimes things are posted even before we know. I mean, that's reality. But just rest assured that we are responding. We have a crisis plan, and we have protocols as a school district to get information to you as soon as possible. Other questions, remarks, comments? Back there.
I just want to know if all this is new or some of it is new, and you guys are updating it. I know that you guys are going to lock the doors or something like that, right. But is that going to, is that already, like, you guys already have that, or you guys are going to do that?
The only thing that is new is the entry protocol, metal detection, electronic door locking. Those are additional layers. Everything else we've been doing for a number of years. The bulletproof glass, the maroon tile, lock the classroom doors. All of those protocols have been in place for a number of years. But the additional layers are going to make it even better. And that's what you deserve, that's what your child deserves, and that's what we'll provide.
Okay, one more. I want to know if there's going to be an update after, like, I want to know what happened with the metal detectors and all that. Like, how are the students responding, or what's happening?
Yeah,
you know?
Our communication director, Ms. Moreno, will put things together to keep parents updated on the process, how well it's going, because it's going to go well, and then you'll be able to know that way. Yeah, yeah. And administration, superintendent, will update the board. We'll keep the board updated on the progress and transgressions, perhaps, but we're going to make it work. Your kids deserve it.
And while we're waiting for that next question, I know metal detection it's a different thing, especially if your student up to this point has never entered a school building. But something Principal Bonnie Felsky and I discussed about is, when you go to Disneyland, the happiest place on earth, you go through a metal detector. And what our goal is here is to make our schools the happiest place on earth. So going through the metal detector will be an experience that we will make a positive one for kids. So it's not going to be an experience that you would imagine when a student enters, or when anyone goes to a metal detector, where it's firm, it's kind of mean, and it's kind of intimidating. We've trained paraprofessionals that will make it welcoming. Welcome to the happiest place on earth. We're here. We're happy that you're here, ready to learn. What I would ask is parents that are here and that have students, especially that attend the high schools, prepare them. Talk to them about it. Like we mentioned earlier, we will be sending out the video on all our social media platforms, and will be an experience that by second quarter, it will be seamless. It will be something that they don't even think about anymore.
Any last questions? Preguntas? Oh, yeah.
What if your child have an EpiPen and it sets off the alarm?
I'm not quite sure I heard that.
EpiPen, what if they have an EpiPen and it sets off the alarm?
That student would be discreetly pulled aside. First, we need to see what that item is, and if it happens to be that, they will be allowed to go and continue their day. The way the metal detectors are, you can range them into picking up a hairpin, to picking up a bundle of keys, it's different. I'm not sure that would send it off, to be honest.
I wasn't going to ask this, but I am going to ask it about the locking doors.
Sure.
Are you saying if there was an incident here in a lockdown, all those doors, all those outside doors are locked?
No.
Okay.
I'm saying that, right, yeah, I'm saying that we will be able to control what doors are open and what doors are not. During our school day, one door is open. One door. Like once class starts, it's the front entrance. All visitors come in that way, and everybody else comes in that way. Teachers have the ability to maneuver and go through any door they need.
But if there was an incident, this is my question, you know, in training in corporate and otherwise, it's always get away. If you can get away, you get away. Not every student would possibly end up in one of your classrooms with the maroon tile, the bulletproof glass, and that locked door. I'm hoping it never, ever, and I'm trusting it'll never, ever come to this, but I want to confirm that if they were somewhere else in the building, that they could get out if they needed to, that those doors would open out.
Sure. Let me be clear first. In an emergency situation, we wouldn't be using our electronic door locking. That's used for like metal detection, for other things. Electronic door locks isn't a thing that we use during an active shooter.
That's what I wanted to confirm, because I don't
good.
think that was made clear, and I think you're going to have some parents with some questions.
Yeah, I understand. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Now, as to your other part of the question, like all 23 of those parapros they're trained. They know exactly what they need to do. Before they save themselves, they're going to save your child. If there's students in the hallway and there's a lockdown called, teachers and parents are pulling people into their classrooms to get them behind the locked door so that we can protect them. The object is to minimize whatever situation could happen. Minimize, minutes, seconds count. And so through our trainings, that's going to ensure that we get as many kids as we possibly can into a safe area.
I think that is key, the piece about how our staff and students are trained so that if there is an emergency, they're coming into the first classroom. See, what you don't want is students out there, because where is the threat? This is happening outside. Maybe somebody or other people are outside waiting for people to get out. So you do have to train the staff and the students so that if there is an emergency, a code red, we call it, those students or whoever is in the hallway will come into a safe place immediately, right away.
Good. If I could go just one step further. When there's a situation, and I know this is morphing into active shooter scenario, all right? If there is a situation, like the worst thing to do is to come and try to get your kid out. There's going to be staging areas that parents can go to. All of those things will be unpacked in our reunification process. And yes, parents are a big part of that as well, because you would be going to pick up your student from whatever location that we would need. So not to blur what this meeting is about, but I can assure you that everything is in place and we are ready to go on every level.
One thing before we, Ms. Fersky, say a couple words. If the incident happens in the building here, this building, Mr. Livingston and Dr. Stevenson are in charge. If it happens at New Tech, it is Ms. Fersky and also Mr. McKnight. It doesn't matter what program, from the ninth grade all the way to our specialized services. Ms. Fersky?
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Bonnie Felsky, the principal at New Tech. So I know there's a few New Tech parents out here tonight. So I just wanted to, reassure you that these are district initiatives. I've worked with this entire team to make sure, even though New Tech's on a smaller scale, we are 100% in line with all of these strategies and trainings. And, we just wanted to let you know that it's not just about the focus on here. We're all in this together. So if you had any questions, you can always reach out to me. It's a small school over there at New Tech. Give me a call, let me know, communicate. But I did just want to acknowledge that we're here as well. Any New Tech specific questions? Oh, sure. We have one. Oh, you have a question. You want me? I can hand it over then if there's no New Tech question.
Yes, I'm a parapro, and we had an incident one time, and student came out of the bathroom after everybody was locked down, and I picked him up, and I was near the one of the outside doors, so I took him to the outside. But of course, I knew where the gathering groups were, so then I proceeded to take the student to where the gathering groups was and talk to that team member to let him know who this student was and where I found him at. So it definitely works.
Thank you, Mr. Bucker. It's training in progress. Where we are now, I'm satisfied with, but we won't stop there. Just like everything, the offenders, the potential offenders, they learn from what we do and what we have in place. So what we're going to do is stay ahead as much as we can. And again, it's going to be using you as a big part of that threat assessment team, communicating anything you may see here, and so that we can take care of it.
So administration will stay here. If you have any questions, I'll be here if you want to stay after. We just want to hear from you, provide you with information. I just want to say to you, honestly, that this is not a talking point. I am not going to stand here and tell you that safety is our priority. Safety is our culture. That's how we do business. It's not what we tell you we do, it's what we do when you don't see what we do. So safety is the culture of how Zion Benton is wired. It's in our DNA. The administration understands this. They understood it before I arrived. They understand it now even more. Our responsibility is to ensure that our kids go back home. My responsibility is that all children are protected, but also all staff. My administrators got to go home too. So safety is our culture, is how we do business. And we thank you for being here. We are going to stay here to answer any questions or talk to you, exchange communication. But please know that here in Zion Benton, it is what we do. It is how we function. It is how the board has established expectations that we must have a safe and secure learning and working environment. And we're going to continue to work hard to make that happen. So we thank you for the partnership. We thank you for being here. En español, bien rápido, la prioridad no es la seguridad, aunque parece muy bien y parece que se escucha precioso, pero no, aquí la seguridad es nuestra cultura, es como hacemos el trabajo. Aquí la seguridad es lo que nosotros hacemos, está en nuestro ADN. Aquí la seguridad es lo que esta administración con ustedes hacemos juntos. Queremos que sepan que no estamos dando un comercial, sino que simplemente estamos articulando que la seguridad es importante para nosotros. Y con ustedes vamos a tener un año escolar magnífico. Gracias. Thank you. Thank you. And again, we're here for any questions. And have a great, blessed evening.